I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body.
Women should be able to wear what they want, free from violence or harassment. Iran must end its use of violence.
So I'm hyperventilating a little bit. If I fall over, pick me up because I've got some things to say.
1 out of every 5 women will be sexually assaulted and raped before she reaches the age of 18.
And I will also never let him win. I will not take my own life. I'm going to take it back.
When I was 25, I founded and ran the national media and political campaign to make upskirting illegal.
Every single one of us has woken up today with less rights than we had yesterday as a result of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade.
For too long, women have not been heard or believed if they dared to speak their truth to the power of those men.
Feminism is an umbrella term for a range of views about injustices against women. Feminism seeks to achieve gender equality through organizations and changes in law. When you look more into feminism, you will find that there are various branches of the movement. All of them take different approaches to achieving equality for women, and the list goes on. These are just a few examples of the different types of feminism that exist, and there's often overlap between them. In current-day society, there are so many misconceptions about what feminism is and what the beliefs and actions of feminism are, but let's get one thing straight. Feminists are not anti-man. Feminism focuses on the issues and experiences of women because historically women have been marginalized and oppressed in many societies. Feminism aims to address and correct these imbalances of power and privilege by advocating for the rights and equality of women. This is not to say that men's issues are not important, but rather that the specific issues faced by women have not been adequately addressed in the past, and thus require a specific focus and attention. Focusing on feminism does not mean ignoring or devaluing the issues faced by men. Many feminist movements work to promote gender equality, which would benefit everyone of all genders. Although men are not the direct target of feminism, they can benefit from the movement by gaining a better understanding of the ways in which gender roles and expectations can limit them as well. Feminism mainly focused on gaining women's suffrage. Activists of this wave fought for the right for women to vote, own property, and have greater autonomy over their own bodies. In the US, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which granted women the right to vote, was in 1920. But it was not until 1965 when all Americans were given the right to vote. In Canada, women were granted the right to vote in federal elections in 1918, but it was not until 1960 when all Canadians were given the right to vote. Unfortunately, women of color, Indigenous women, working-class women, and those with disabilities faced a greater lack of rights and discrimination. Overall, the first wave of feminism helped to lay the foundation for future feminist movements. Women were continuously facing significant discrimination and inequality, and in many areas of society, they needed the permission or accompaniment of a man. Banks could refuse to issue women a credit card without her husband's signature. And in the United States, for every dollar a man made, a woman made 60.7 cents. It was completely legal to fire a woman for being pregnant. Thanks to feminism activism, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 made it illegal to discriminate against an individual on the basis of sex. And in Canada, the Canadian Human Rights Act of 1977 passed the same law. The National Organization for Women was founded in 1966. The organization focused on a wide range of issues related to women's rights and equality, including reproductive rights, legal rights, and social and cultural issues. Activists fought for and achieved greater access to birth control and the right to access safe and legal abortion. In the 1960s, it was estimated that between 200,000 and 1.2 million illegal abortions were performed annually in the United States. Abortion eventually became legalized in the 1973 Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade. And in Canada, abortion became legal in 1988. This decision gave women more control over their own bodies and reproductive choices. Feminism fought to break down barriers, including access to higher education, pursuing careers in male-dominated fields, and equal pay and benefits. But as women began to work alongside men, some women were insecure about the change and projected their internalized misogyny.
Why?
Why? Because a woman cannot do a job of a man.
Are you afraid your husband is in some sort of danger then?
Absolutely.
I think the man is the important one, with the jobs and the pay and that sort of thing, don't you?
Society especially loves women who naturally stay in their lane and accept their given gender roles. After all, being performative within society's expectations makes life way easier for us. Pop culture provided a platform for feminist ideas and messages to reach a wider audience by challenging traditional gender roles and stereotypes through music videos, movies, television shows, and other forms of media.
Anytime I would express anything that wasn't traditional gender roles, I would usually get in a lot of trouble. I wouldn't be able to play with the toys I wanted. I would have to act a certain way. I played a lot of sports that I never really wanted to, just because society kind of wanted me to.
Organizations such as the Third Wave Foundation were formed, and the term intersectionality was created. Recognizing that the experiences of women of color, queer, and women of other marginalized groups are different from those of white, cisgender, and straight women.
When I first got interested in feminism, I noticed that I had one perspective, and that was a gay white woman's perspective. And then I got out into Vancouver and started to meet new people and realized that there are other feminists out there that had different perspectives, different experiences with intersectionality themselves. And having intersectionality, it creates a strength in the movement.
The fourth wave is marked by intersectionality and inclusivity, just as the third wave was. Although now it's heavily influenced by the rise of digital technology and social media platforms. The movement is decentralized, leaderless, diverse, and on a large scale. This open structure gives women from all around the world a chance to be heard. As feminism looks deeper into society's expectations of women, we now recognize that some things aren't normal. They've been normalized. There's a difference. Today, women are challenging society's expectations, especially when it comes to body positivity and self-acceptance. We are challenging societal norms that dictate how individuals should look and behave. For example, in the Western world, our collective idea of what makes someone pretty is almost always based on their proximity to being white, cisgendered, heterosexual, thin, neurotypical, and non-disabled. We live in a world that profits from our insecurities. Let's take body hair for an example. Society convinced women that our body hair is unhygienic or unattractive. As young girls, we learn to hate our bodies before we even had the chance to love them. Overall, life feels easier when we shave, and we don't have to explain ourselves when we do it. These are seeds planted in our minds by manipulative corporations to make us feel so insecure that we buy products that promise we will be more acceptable, more desirable. Various brands also price women's products much higher than men's products. Gender-based pricing is often referred to as the pink tax. Fourth-wave feminism places an even stronger emphasis on intersectionality, with a focus on ensuring that marginalized voices are included and heard within the movement. Social media platforms provide a space for individuals from marginalized communities to share their stories and experiences, which can help raise awareness and understanding amongst a wider audience. The global distribution of resources and educational materials makes it easier to report and document events as they happen, which helps to keep intersectional issues publicly visible and can help mobilize people to take action. Many people believe that there is no longer a need for feminist movements, and that women are now given equal or near equal status in society. Unfortunately, the control over a woman's body is still vulnerable to political and religious lobby groups. Imagine if the government passed a law that stopped abortions at the source, by making every young man have a vasectomy that gets reversed when he's deemed financially and emotionally fit to be a father. What's that? Did the idea of regulating a man's body make you uncomfortable? Then mind your business. In the fourth wave of feminism, reproductive rights, access to abortion, and birth control are still hard to obtain, and it just got even more difficult. The US Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade on June 24, 2022. By overturning Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court erased safe and legal abortions that was a federal constitutional right nationwide for nearly 50 years. They took away women's power to make personal medical decisions, and they gave that power to lawmakers. You can't ban abortion, you can only ban safe abortions. An estimated 25 million unsafe abortions occur each year worldwide. Now, this study was from 2017. Keep in mind, that was way before Roe v. Wade was overturned. Globally, women are still treated as second-class citizens. Women still exist in social, religious, economic, and politically oppressive spheres that deeply shape their choices. In Afghanistan, the Taliban has ordered public and private universities to ban women from their institutions. In Iran, protests erupted in response to Iran's inhumane and discriminatory morality police, who enforce the country's mandatory dress code.
If you do not comply to any of these rules, you will be punished, and it can range from imprisonment to actually being fined, or even in worst case scenario, it will be death, such as the case of Mahsa Amini. And with this woman-led revolution in Iran, it's really hard that women have to do that on their own. But with this, with the international awareness with all over the world, we have been able to engage the government officials everywhere, and this has helped us actually get to some places so far.
With a long history of discrimination, it's important to remember why feminism was needed in the first place. The ongoing movement will continue to adapt and evolve to address the changing needs of society and address new forms of oppression that emerge. Feminism as a whole is working towards creating a more just and equal society for us all. And that's a goal most women and men want to support. Don't you?